And then I will share my screen so you guys can see what we're going to do today. Okay. So as I mentioned, we are going to be doing Google Sites. This is an installment in our Learnabout series. If you have never been before, welcome. So glad to have you. And if you've seen these before, this is just the latest iteration, and I hope that you are going to enjoy it. My name is Olivia Morris. I'm the presenter for these events, and I work for MetroNet. And if you are not a Twin Cities librarian, you may never have heard of MetroNet. If you are a Twin Cities librarian, I hope you have, but in case you haven't, MetroNet is a multi-county, multi-type library consortium. And we work to support libraries of all types through programming and events such as this one. So we can connect with our members to find out what it is that we can do to assist them and help them do their jobs as best as they can. And as I said, we work with libraries of all types. So public, school, academic, and special libraries are our base. And we offer these programs, scholarships, meetings, conferences, things like that, that we feel best support them through professional development opportunities. We are located in the Twin Cities, St. Paul and Minneapolis, Minnesota. We cover the metropolitan area. There are 6 other multi-types that cover the rest of the state of Minnesota. So that is us. And you can find us at metrolibraries.net. And the link that you see on your screen there is metrolibraries.net events and programs. And you will find there information about the programs that we offer, both this Learnabout series and other series that we do offer, as well as links to registration. If there's something that you're interested in, please join us. So today we are going to be talking about Google Sites, which is a really, really useful tool that I don't think nearly enough people are aware of, because it's a free way to create a website. At its core, that is what it is for. You need to create a website for any purpose, you can do it for free through Google Sites. So I will be walking you through how to create a Google Sites by giving you a tour of Google Sites itself. We'll talk a little bit about tips and tricks, and then we'll do some questions, and I'll mention future events at the end. As far as questions go, because I'm going to be presenting, it's hard to keep an eye on the chat. Feel free as I go along, type your questions in the chat or the Q&A so you do not forget them, and I will get to them all at the end. So I promise I will come back and make sure we cover everything, but go ahead and type them in as you think of them. You don't have to hold them to the end. So to begin, Google Sites has been around for quite some time. They had what they currently call it the classic version, which at the one time was the only version of Google Sites. And a lot of people created sites under that format, and that's terrific. Those sites are still available. However, they are going away, and they're going away soon. September 21st of this year, all classic sites are being disabled. So if you have a classic site that exists and you came here to learn about the new sites, I'm going to direct you immediately to the link on the screen, and I'm going to share this slide deck with you as well. So just hold for that. And they will walk you through how to convert your classic site to the new site. If you choose not to, they will do it for you. And then you'll have to go in after September 21st and accept those changes in order for your site to be published. If you do not do that, your site will be permanently disabled within 60 or 90 days after that date, as long as it takes them to actually go ahead and do the migration. So you can, for the moment, still create a site in Classic. So if you need a site and Classic is what you are familiar with, you can still do that, but you will have to convert it before September 21st. And I am not covering the Classic today. Today, we are looking at the new Google Sites, how to work within that new format. But I just want to touch on this because I know there are a lot of sites out there that are done in Classic, and I want to make sure you are aware of this information. So as always, I like to start with the Google support. I'm a big fan of Google's support forums. They do really a great job of sharing the information for everyone. So if you have no idea how to do a specific thing in Google Sites and you're like, I know it must do this, but I don't know how, come to this support page and look through. They're searchable. They also have headings and subheadings, so you can try to find what it is that you're looking for if you don't know exactly what it's called. And I find them very useful. They are written with the end user in mind. That would be you and me. So they want it to be something that you understand so that you can find the help that you need. So I do recommend that you use these, that you bookmark that. If you are getting started with sites and it's new to you, have it on hand. So as you're going through it and you have questions, you can look in there. You can also reach out to me at any time. I will share my contact information at the end. I'm more than happy to help. I'm a librarian teacher by trade, and I am happy to share my knowledge with all of you. That's why I do these. And please follow up if you have questions. I am more than happy to work with you on that. And also, of course, this slide deck is yours to use as well. So you can keep that information, and we do record these. So lots of ways for you to find this if I go too quickly and you're not catching everything as I go, which I may do today because Google Sites is really deep. There's a lot of information that we could cover here. So I'm trying to keep it towards basics. So brand new, if you've never done one before, this is how you start, and not dig too deeply, because honestly, we're only doing this in 1 hour and I would need several hours to go through all they have to offer. The other link you're seeing on the screen is the link to the templates. So Google offers several templates to start. If you have no idea, you've never made a site before, you can select one of these templates and then build within the existing design, which may be a little easier for you. Personally, I don't think it's that hard to do from scratch, and I'm going to show you what both of those look like right about now, because we have reached the place where we start the tour. So I'm going to go ahead and exit out of the slide deck. Oh, wait, one more thing. Next page. I lied. Oh, it was on the same page. I just didn't read down far enough. Sorry about that. After sites.new, the bottom link there, bit.ly/learnabout-sites, that's the link to the slide deck. So if you want to grab that, I will show it again at the end. So you will definitely have a chance to take a look at that. But some people like to have the slides open while I'm talking, and that is completely fine with me, though there's very little in there beyond what I'm about to show you in the tour. So exiting out of there. And let's get this banner out of the way. And first thing, I did mention the MetroNet website, which looks like this. Events and programs can't be reached because it's being a pain. There we go. Hello. And we have, here's the Learnabouts that we have done, some information about those, and then upcoming Learnabouts. Talkabouts is a different event that we do, and that's where we all gather together to talk about a book genre and then what kind of books you like in that genre. So it's not exactly a book club. Instead, we get together and say, hey, I really liked this book. Last month we did military and spy novels. And so people would come and say, oh, my favorite military one is this. My favorite spy novel is this. And then we discuss them. And I create a massive book list for your reading pleasure. So if you are at all interested, we are doing LGBTQ plus fiction in the end of May. So May 26th, that'll be at 4 p.m. The registration link is right here. So feel free. And then you can see the upcoming for those as well. And on the resources and archives tab, you can see all the book lists for previous talkabouts, as well as our YouTube channel. And this is where all of the previous Learnabouts are linked. So if you want to watch something, say you missed our Google Drive and you want to know more about that, you can come here and view that at any time. So that is where you'll find that information. This is the link that I included for converting your classic site to the new site. You can read all about this here, and it will walk you through step by step on doing that conversion. This is that help page that I mentioned. So here you can just type in, this is what I'm having a problem with, and it will direct you, or you can come here and look at their submenus and see if it's publishing that you're having trouble with. You can come in here and look at the publishing link, and they will walk you through step by step. There's a lot of information in here, things that I can't even fathom, and I've been working with this for quite some time. And this is the template gallery. This is what it looks like. So there are different templates in here that you can use that are already set up and designed for you. So you don't have to work to create your own design, although they are completely customizable. So if you think, you know, this is the one that I like, here, this one that says class, but I want my own photos and things, you can absolutely do that. It allows for that sort of customizable. All right, so one tip or trick, I think, that I love to share with people that I've been using for all is that Google has the ability to create a new whatever product you're using by simply typing in the name of that product .new. So if it's a Google slide, you type in slide.new. If it's a Google Doc, it's doc.new. Sheets, sheet.new, etc. So in this case, we are doing sites.new. And when I do that, typing it into my address bar, it pops me up a brand new Google site to start with. Looks just like that. Now you can also navigate to this by going into your Google Drive and selecting new and then scrolling down to where it says sites and then hit new site. That is absolutely a reasonable way to do it. Nothing wrong with that. But the shortcut way is what I just showed you. That is typing in sites.new into your URL, and it will take you here to this page. So this is what it looks like when you come into sites. And I'm going to walk you through the majority of this today on how to get a site. By the time we are done today, you should be able to at least create a basic website for your use, personal, professional, educational, whatever it is that you want a site for, we can help you create it. So starting in the upper left-hand corner, this is site's home. So if you click on this, I'm only showing you this because there's not going to be anything in it because this is my only current one under this Google account that I'm using. In the lower left here, they have a link to classic sites. So as I mentioned, you still have the ability to create a classic site between now and September 21st, but then you would have to get that migration done. But if you are familiar with classic sites, I'm going to just click on it because you can see I used to teach this same course only for classic sites. You guys are my first audience for the brand new sites. But under the classic sites, these were all of the demos and tests that I had done, which are still in classic. I have not converted any of them because they are just tests. I don't need them. They're more than welcome to go ahead and delete them when they do their migration. But I could come in here still in the classic version and hit the create button here and go ahead and make myself a classic site. If that's your thing and you just need to get it done quickly and you're familiar with that, that's fine. Go ahead and do that and do the conversion instead. Or let me convince you why you should use the new one because it is just so much easier to use. So we're going to select it to open. I'm actually not because I'm going to close this template just so I don't get confused on those links and help because I don't need it. Okay, so that's the upper left there. Right here next to it is where you can give it a name. This is like when you're saving it in Docs. What is the file itself going to be called? This is not necessarily the name of your website. They absolutely could be the same, but this is only going to appear within your Google Drive where this will be stored. So I'm going to call it Learnabout Demo. Nice and creative. And then you'll notice as soon as I did that, it popped that information down here where previously it had said, name your site. So if you are, say, in the education world and your site is for your district, but you want to do it specific to your media center. So your title page might be the name of your media center, but your site name might be the name of your school district, something like that. That's entirely up to you. And you can edit this at any time. If you don't want it to be called the same thing as the file, you don't have to. You can absolutely change it there. As soon as I had a title in there, it gives me the ability to add a logo. If you want, you can add your school or district or professional or personal logo to that right there. Here's your title page, et cetera, et cetera. I'm going to come in and show you how to work within the actual site itself in just a moment. I want to show you a few of these things around the edges first. So we did the title. Right here, this is where it says all changes saved in Drive. If you are not familiar with the Google Suite, they save everything automatically. So there's no save button for you to hit. It's just going to keep saving as long as you are working within it. So you will constantly have the current version showing on your screen. But if you had a previous version, if you have been working on this for some time and making changes and you think, you know what, I'd rather go back to something I had done earlier, you can at any time click on that and see the different versions that you had available. I don't have a lot because I just started this, but you know, it is what it is. It will show that on there. So you have that ability. We have undo and redo right here. Very useful when doing a website because you will often think this should go here and then go, nope, let's put it over here, et cetera, et cetera. This one here is the preview button. So once you have some content on here, you can hit the preview and it will take away all of this stuff and give it to you as a web page. It won't be live. It just gives the ability to view it so you can see what it will look like once it is live. Next, this is the link. You don't get access to the link until you publish it for the first time, and then you can work within the link. You have the ability to share. That is common throughout all of the Google products. It gives you the ability to share with others. So you can add collaborators. You can have it to someone, send it to someone so they can, proofread it for you, let you know, a page link isn't working, et cetera, et cetera. Settings I'm going to talk about in just a moment. This little 3 dots here is more. There's not a ton in here. So version history, I already showed you, but that's another way to access it. Google likes their redundancies. Some people find that irritating. I find it comforting because there's so much to remember across all these products. If you're someone who teaches the Google Suite like I do, it's comforting to know that if I forget where they tucked something, I can usually find it someplace else. So it's helpful for me. If you want to make a copy, making a copy is a great way to basically create your own template. So you could start with a basic if you're going to be using this. Say you're a teacher and you're teaching 6 different sessions of English history, history or something like that. And you want to start with a template and then customize them for each class. This would be a good way to do that. Create your basic template, make a copy, and then you have that to work with for each copy. You could save this as the original. Problems, here's a quick link to that help that I had given you. I showed you that link earlier to the help. And then also the tour, they will walk you through kind of what I'm doing, only without my soothing voice. So there is that. And then we have the purple publish button, which I will be talking about shortly, and then the link to which account you are working with. So if you are creating this and you have multiple Google accounts, do make sure that you're in the correct Google account before you begin, because that's the account you can save it to. Obviously, you can transfer pretty simply between different accounts, but still, sometimes it's just easier to have it in the right account. So covered that. I did say I'd come back and talk about the settings, and I'm going to do that now. Here's what the settings look like. I'm not going to spend a ton of time in here. A lot of this stuff can get into really in depth with creating of a site, and I don't necessarily know that we need that. At the basic level, here's the things that I want you to know. First and foremost, it comes pre-selected to the first tab, which is navigation. Here it is set to top. So the navigation within my site, where I will have the links that I click on to move between pages of the site, will be along the top. It will appear, let me close this. Just kidding, I had to take a second to close it apparently. Right now it says home, and then there's nothing underneath it yet. There's a subpage, but nothing. And if I were to add other pages, those would appear here as well. So this is where my navigation is currently along the top. Maybe that's not your thing. Maybe you don't want it along the top. You can come in here and switch it to the side. Some people prefer having side navigation. So I just switched it, and now you'll notice that home is gone. Over here, I now have the hamburger logo. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that term, the 3 bars, they call it the hamburger, because I guess that's what it's supposed to look like. And then clicking on that then gives you your side navigation. So it's a little more hidden. It depends on what kind of look you're going for. It's entirely up to you. But you do have the option of changing that. And that can be changed at any time. You don't have to do that before you add anything to your site. You can do it at any moment. Color. So I don't spend a lot of time working within this because I don't think it's necessary. I think the way it's set up, they are optimized for visibility for people to read and look within them. So I don't play with a lot, but you do, the ones I want you to know are the navigation search and the search settings. So the search right now is set to search this site. So the site that you are creating. You could also, if it's say within your district and you are one page, you want them to search district wide. So within your organization, you could do that. You could also hide the search bar entirely if you don't want one. So those are options that you have available to you as well. Leaving it alone sets it at search this site, and it is right here in the top right. So that is an option for you. Brand images, you can upload that stuff in here, but you don't have to. You can do it within the creation of the site. Putting it in here, the advantage to doing that is that it will appear on all of your header pages and carry throughout. If not, and you create different pages, you will have to add that individually at each. This sort of saves you a step, but secretly between you and me, it does not, because I will show you how you can make it so that your logo will carry throughout without uploading anything into here. And then I'm not going to look at tools or analytics or the announcement banner. Those are more intermediate to advanced levels. So right now, I just wanted you to have those basic tools that you could look at under settings. Then the next thing we're going to look at is this massive sidebar down here, because this is the beating heart of Google Sites. This is where you find everything that you need in order to create a website. So there are 3 main headers across the top: insert, pages, and themes. It's defaulted to insert. I'm not really sure why, because in my brain, the way it should work is themes come first. They have it listed as third. It could just be alphabetical. I have no idea. But in my brain, themes should come first because I like to get the design set before I start adding the content. However, you can change it at any time. If you come in and start, it defaults to this simple style. If you don't like this and you put all of your content in, you can change it at any time and it will just flop everything over to the new one. It doesn't really matter when you do it. Like I said, it's just my brain that thinks that theme comes first. So there are not a ton of themes to choose from. But if you like having a theme, having the fonts and the colors and things done for you, if that makes it easier for you because you don't want to think about it, you just want to put the content in place, go ahead and use one of these. If you don't choose one, it will default to the simple. You can always create your own. Choose your own colors, your own styles, etc. However, these are completely customizable as well. So the simple theme defaults to this color pattern, but you can change that here. Change any of the font colors that you like, and then the font style. You can change to different looks. So right now I'm going to change it to classic, and I don't know if you could see that was pretty subtle change there, but the words "your title page" changed when I click that. I'll click heavy. That one will be more noticeable. So your page title is now written as with the heavy font. So you can change that, and that can again be changed at absolutely any time. So just because I really want to stick more to the content than the design, I'm going to leave it set to this simple theme. And we're going to jump back over to insert. So from the insert, right now what you're looking at here in this main box, we have our homepage. So if you were to visit this website, this is the first thing that you see. It would have the name of your site, and it would have whatever you have on the homepage here. Like I said, it could be your district name and then your school, or it could be your company name and then your department. It could be your class name and then the project that you're working on, whatever, or they can be the same. It really is entirely up to you. When I used to teach classic sites, people would ask me all the time, how do I build this? How do I create? And my advice then and now, even though I think this is easier to use, is start with pen and paper. Maybe it's just me. I guess you could do it in a Google Doc and just do it as like a chart in a Google Doc, but I like to get my thoughts organized before I come here and create this. When you're creating a website, you have X amount of information, and how do you want it to be organized? So if I was creating one, and the one that I'm going to practice on for you guys today is I'm going to create a Learnabout demo site. So instead of having it linked to the Metronet website, I'm going to have it linked to its own website, and it's going to be all about Learnabout. So the homepage is now going to say Learnabouts. And I thought about this in advance and thought, what would I want? And we have Learnabouts. What are they? Learnabouts, a link to the videos of the G Suites, other tech tools. Those are the kind of the basics that I came up with so far. So on the Learnabouts page, I could just leave it blank like this if I wanted to. So it just says Learnabouts. I could add a text box or an image or embed something in the content down here. I could do a lot of different things. I'm going to pop this up because it's covering. I can also add a footer. The thing with footers, the footer is going to carry to all consecutive pages. So because Learnabouts is a program for MetroNet, I will make my footer say MetroNet, and we are in St. Paul, Minnesota, and our website is metrolibraries.net. That says .new, that is supposed to say .net. Okay, and then boom, so now that's my footer. And then I could do an image here of, let's say something that looks like learning. What looks like learning? Let's do a Google image. Let's do URL, no, photos. I don't have any photos in this one. I forgot I switched accounts. So let's say books. Books look like learning, don't they? Terrific. You are a winner. Congratulations. Insert. It's taking a second, and it's put the image in there. Okay, so now the image has been input on my page, but maybe that's not what I wanted. So it immediately gives me a menu to work with. So I can crop, I can uncrop once I've cropped it, I can link so that this image becomes a way to get to a new page. I can delete, or I can change the image, add captions. There are other things. You can also click and drag these blue dots. So if I wanted this image to fill the screen, boom, I can do like that, okay? And then we also, now that I have a section on this page, the section has the ability to be moved. So if I added another section down here, maybe this next one has text in it, I could flip-flop those if I wanted. I can also, there's some options that appear on the left-hand side to work within each section. I can copy it. So if I'm creating, maybe I add a calendar here and I want the calendar to be duplicated on other pages, I can use the duplicate section to not have to recreate the wheel every single time, or delete if I'm just not happy with this. But I'm gonna go ahead and leave it as is, okay? I'm gonna leave the header set as, it's pre-defaulted to the banner header. I could change it to title only. Maybe I don't want that image because I'm gonna have an image down below. Maybe I would rather have the whole front page just be an image with my title, or slightly larger banner. I'm gonna go with the title only look for this one. There are options here too with different header types. So that's how you get back to that. So then I'm gonna leave this, and then I have a sub page that I have added here. But to show you how to do that, I wanna come over here to where it says pages. So right now we have our home page and we have an untitled page. I'm gonna delete that untitled page I was just playing earlier. And that's how I put that in there. So from here, I have the ability to add new pages. So clicking on this is gonna give me a new page. Learnabouts with the image, that is a page. It is the home page, okay? I could also add a new section for my menu, add a new link, but I'm just gonna keep it basic for you guys, and I wanna add a new page. So this is Learnabouts, and I'm gonna say the second page will be called the Google Suite, since I've done some work in there. Okay, so as soon as I did that, I have this new page that I'm working in, and they are exactly the same. It has the same style here with just the header, just the title, and then a section, and then my footer. Now, I said earlier, you didn't have to pre-upload your logos if you wanted to carry them throughout. And here's how you do that. First of all, I'm going to undo the Google Suite page, pretend I never created that. I'm going to come back here to the Learnabouts, the home page. And I'm going to click up here for header type, and I want to go back to banner. And I am going to change this image to the MetroNet logo. So I'm going into my computer's images, searching for the MetroNet logo, and I'm going to go ahead and put that in there. And ooh, that is not fantastic. Let's pretend it's a better quality. This is a very small thumbnail size, so expanding it up this big is not great. But again, just play with me here. One thing that happens when you put in an image, we have this menu that's been there all along. It added now a reset button. If I don't like anything I've done, I can always reset it back to where I was. But it also gave me these two new tools over here. The first one is readability. So what it's going to do is it's going to optimize any images that you put in for the ability to see them. Okay. Like I said, this is way too small. I would definitely use a larger quality image if I were really going to do this, but so it's done the best that it can. The next one is the anchor. The anchor is really useful in photos, and here's why. When I click on it, it's showing you right now that we are looking at the center of the image, but maybe I don't want it because the bottom of that image is text. I don't really want the text. I just want the logo. So I want to show just that. I'm going to go up, and then boom, it moves that image so that now just that logo shows behind the title instead of the text. I could also go side to side if I wanted to. There's not a lot of side to side. That's because this one is small. So it's pretty much up or down only for this one. And then you can recenter it anytime if you're not sure what you like. But I'm going to go ahead and leave it like that because I think that gives us the best look. So that's the MetroNet logo behind the word Learnabout, which is the home page. Now I'm going to come back here and add a new page. Remember, I was creating the Google Suite page. And I'll hit done. And look at that. Now it says Google Suite for the new page, but that banner carried to the next page. So if you start at your homepage and put in the logo you want, you can carry that throughout. If you don't want that to be the case, do it the way I did it before. Create your pages before you put your logos in, and then you can add individual images on each page. Now, to be fair, I can change this at any time. If I don't like the Google Suite image here, I can go ahead and change this to literally anything. Let's do just this one that looks like a keyboard because that's googly-ish. And boom, now that looks like that. So now we have homepage with the MetroNet logo. Google Suite is showing the typewriter, okay? And then we still have our content, which is blank here, and then the footer, which will carry from page to page to page. So I could do this and I could continue to add pages. I want to show you back here on my menu, which I have on the side. When I click on it, there are now 2 links on there. So you can navigate between them just like that. It's done for you. If I didn't like that and I was like, I don't really like it hidden, I think I would rather people be able to see the pages, I can always come back here to settings, navigation, switch it from side back to top, close this, and there's home, and there's the Google Suite. And as I add more pages, those will appear. I could also at any time click on this. So I'm to the right of, in my navigation, to the right of Google Suite, I could click subpage, and I could make each individual topic, so Google Docs, Google Drive, Google Sheet, Google Forms, Google Sites, etc., an individual subpage if I wanted to. Or I could put links on the page to each of those that will take you to more information about them. It's up to me, or in this case, you, how you design it. And that's why I go back to, it's helpful, at least in my world, to create a tree of where I want the information stored. So I'm not just coming in here and doing it kind of by the seat of my pants. So if I know I need this much information, how do I want it organized? Is this a subhead? So it's like creating an outline when you're writing a research paper, right? What are your main points? What are your subpoints? What are subpoints from those? And then create that, and then use that to decide what is a page, what is a subpage, etc. So I think that's the best way to do it. It will help make it a lot easier for you, because then you're just coming in and plugging in the pages and giving them the appropriate titles that match your outline. So I will add a subpage to this just so you guys can see what it looks like. So we'll do a subpage, which we are going to call Google Sites, which is what we're working on today, and hit that. And then now, because of that, Google Sites is a sub of the Google Suite. And up here in our navigation, we still have home, and now our Google Suite gets a drop down, which when I hover, it gives me Google Sites, or you can click on the arrow as well to get you to that Google Sites. And I could change the picture, I could add the logo back in, my footer is still there, and I still have my main content boxes right here in the center, which are blank at the moment. I'm gonna go back here to the home where I did add this text and go to the Insert tab. And in these content blocks, I can give them a format. So if there's something specific you are looking for, if you have a lot of images and that's what you want is multiple images, you can do that. You could select this as your format. And then once I did that, that blank field fills in, and then you can add your text down below and then add your multiple images across here. You could also do multiple images with big captions below, and then an area for a paragraph for explanations. And as I'm doing these, by the way, as I'm clicking on these to show you the differences between them, it is adding a new section each time. It's not replacing, it's adding, but these can be taken out. If I don't like this one, just a quick delete section, and now we're down to 2. So at any time you can go ahead and add or delete. So if you just want to see what they look like, go for it. Put in a couple of them and put your content in and see which looks better, and then delete the one you don't like. It's very easy, very functional. So this one gives you one big image and then a header to the side and then a little place for a paragraph of explanation. Here's bigger photo and smaller photos on the side, however you want to do it, okay? So the content blocks give you how to lay out the information, and you can use those on any page that you are working with. So I can navigate using my navigational tools to get back to these. And I decide on Google Sites, I'm just doing the one specific thing. So I'm going to have the one topic, and this is going to say Google Sites presentation, which would be this particular presentation, which I could either link right here, add it in, and once it's done, I can get it from YouTube, I could get it from the Drive, wherever I have it. In this case, we take them from Zoom and we put them in YouTube. So I could take it from YouTube once it's on YouTube and link it right here. So it would say Google Slides presentation, and then this would be the link to the presentation right to the left of it. Clearly, I can't link it now since we're still making it, but that's how that would work. It's very simple, I think, and it's pretty intuitive to create. And you know what? Someone just popped up a couple of questions that I see. What else can you add? And so let me show you down below. So this is your content blocks. This is what they look like. That's how to create your formatting. What else can you do? Well, you scroll down. This is as far as it scrolls, and you can do a lot of things. You can add so that these collapse. So let me quickly navigate back to my homepage where I have added multiple different sections. If I want to collapse one of them, I'm going to click on that one and hit collapsible group. And now it folds up so that it doesn't automatically display all of this in a long page. Instead, it gives the ability to kind of shorten the page, and people can then click on it to expand the sections that they want to see. So it gives you the ability to do that. You can create a table of contents. Image carousel is one of the things I put in tips and tricks. If you've looked ahead on the slide deck, image carousel is the ability to have it constantly rotating between images. So if you're doing, like I gave earlier, the idea of doing it for your media center, and you have a ton of great pictures, maybe new books, and you have a picture of each of the new books on there, and you want it to be on that page. So you have a page for new materials in the library. You could use the image carousel and put in the images of each cover of the book, and it will just continually rotate. So a nice way to do it. It gives you the ability to add buttons. So you can add buttons in place of links. Click here to find out more, and you can turn that into a button. It gives it maybe a little more professional look than just having a live link on a page. You could use buttons, register here, sign up here, et cetera, et cetera. You can do it for page forward, page back if you wanted to. I mean, really a lot of options. Dividers, if you had multiple content on different, you can add dividers, lines between the sections. Placeholders, cloud search, I'm going to jump over a lot of these, but someone asked about calendars and maps. Those are both available here. So yes, you can. I'm going to come down here to this section, and I want to do calendar. So now it wants to know which calendar do I want to do, and we'll use this one and hit insert. And in the newest section, it is getting there, and boom, there is my current work calendar, which obviously I wouldn't put on a Learnabout site, but I'm assuming you have a calendar that you would want to include, and that's how you would do that. So this would give you the ability to open the calendar. So if someone clicks on it to interact with it, it will open in a new tab. There's some settings that you can do once you add that, and they're pretty self-explanatory. It's mostly just on and off here, title, date, et cetera, et cetera. So you can play around in those. And then of course, the ability to delete it if it turns out you really were kidding and did not want a calendar on your page, or you don't like how it looks, or you find out it's not being used. We all know that websites are not static. They are meant to be interacted with. And if it's not working, change it. So very quickly, I can get rid of that as well. And then the same thing with maps. If you want to create a map, you have to find your spot on the map, and then it will put the link to that map. And then of course, if you click on it, it will be interactive so that they can use it to get directions, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So that is how that would work. But yes, you do have those options. You can also link a document that you've created in Google Docs, a slide deck. I could put this presentation in there, that slide deck, sheets, forms, and then you can create charts as well. So it's got a lot of ability to add things that are outside the norm that you would maybe struggle with creating if you were doing a website in, say, WordPress. And I've created in WordPress. And while I think they have beautiful sites in WordPress, I don't necessarily find them that intuitive to use. And I often struggle because I have no background, zero background in coding. So I often struggle with how do I make this do what I want it to do? That's all created for you. Google has done that work, the behind the scenes stuff for you. You're just doing what is it going to look like at the end. How it functions, that's up to Google and they'll make it work, which is why they give you these specific options. So text box, images, you can embed something. So you can embed a lot of things. You can embed, if you've created a Google form, you could link to that form down here or put the form in through that way, but you could also take the form itself and do the embed link and put it in here so that the form is alive and you can use it. People can actually fill it out. You could also access your Google Drive and pull things from it. So if you have photos, if you have audio, if you have video, if you have all sorts of things that you've saved in your Google Drive, you can access them through there and pull it into your new Google site. So that is the basics for that. I'm going to jump back to the Google Suite will probably be fine. So when I was in here, I showed you earlier, once you hit the pages, it shows you your tree, your outline that you are creating here. Home, the Google Suite, the Google Sites. I could create another header page. So I could say, let's do tech tools, which is something that we are adding this fall, hint, hint. Canva will be the first up. Done. There's tech tools. I'm going to throw in a quick sub page and we'll call that Canva because that's coming. And I'll hit done. And just like that, I have a 5-page website. Now there's not a lot of content, admittedly, but it exists. The navigation is there. You can move through it. And you can see you're watching me do it. This is not complicated. So if there's something that concerns you, trust me, try it. It's a lot easier than you think. So now doing that, I just want to draw your attention to each one of these individual pages has the 3 dots to the right, which is a hidden menu that you can access. Just click on it. So I can change my home page at any time. If for some reason, like maybe in September when we are doing Canva, I want to feature Canva. I want you all to be aware that it's coming. And maybe this page will say, Canva's coming. We're going to do a Learnabout about Canva. I could make this the homepage for the month of September. Okay. And then I can switch it back to our actual homepage as soon as the Canva one is over. So however I'd like to do that, you can duplicate these at any time. Adding subpages you can do right here. The one I want to call your attention to, and I have this under tips and tricks as well. This is hide from navigation. So since Canva doesn't exist yet and there's no information, maybe I just want to create the page and get it ready, but I don't want it to be live because we haven't run it yet. And I'm sure you can think of in your own organization, a reason you might want to create it in advance, but not have people to be able to see it. So you can actually hide these from navigation. I can select that and it will hide this. And then when I publish this site and make it live, the Canva will not show. The page that I have hidden will not show when it is published. And then you can come in there at any time and do that. Oh, apparently I was not on Canva. Sorry, I was on the wrong page. So I did the Google Suite and I hid that from navigation. That's why it disappeared from up here. So I left home, tech tools, and navigation, which tech tools and Canva. I did the Google Suite. Sorry, I thought I was on a different page. So at any time, if I want to go ahead and make it live again, I just come back in here, click on that menu, which for reasons passing understanding is not opening right now because it's naturally just going to be a little funky. Huh, I do not know what is happening at the moment. Let me try this. Let me jump to a different page and see if that helps. I don't know why it would matter, but look at that, it mattered. I'm going to hit show in navigation to bring that back. And this one as well. So now all of my pages are back live. I don't know why that menu was not showing up when I popped there. Don't just assume that's an aberration. That's not normally going to happen. But it is pretty easy to take pages out and put pages in. So if it's something that you're creating and you're going to launch pages on specific dates, go ahead and create them ahead of time, get everything in the way you want it to, and then just hide the pages that you don't want live. When you publish it, they won't show. And then at any time you can go in and hit show, and then they will reappear as a live web page. So that is a really nice feature that they don't really advertise. So they kind of hide it here that you have to really search for it or know that it is there. Okay, so that covers the basics through here. And gang, I am well aware that we have not covered even a fraction of what is available to do in Google Suites. So if you had specific questions about this, if you've used it and you're stuck on something, please get in touch with me later and I will walk you through it, help you out. But for now, just for the basics, I feel like you have enough information that you can actually send out. You could set up a site and go ahead and create it right now if you needed to. The last thing that you need to do is to publish your site. So the big purple publish button, I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And when you do it, it's asking you to name your web address. It's suggesting the name based on what you've titled it, and it's showing you underneath the full URL. So it'll be sites.google.com/metronet. That's who owns the Google account. So my Google account is owned by my company, Metronet, and then the site name down below. But maybe I don't want it to say demo. Maybe I just wanted to say Learnabout. Boom, I can do that. Below that, we have the ability to manage who can view it. Okay, so you can do that by clicking the manage button, and then it's going to change. Right now it's telling me who owns it. I can add individual people if I want individual people to be able to see it and not have it live to everyone, only certain people who have it, I can do that. Or I can change the links. So the published site, the draft at the moment, because I have not published it, is restricted. I can change that to anyone with a link. So if I want people to look at my draft before I publish it, I can change it to anyone and then just send that link out to my team and ask them to take a look at it. Or I can do it to just my organization and then push it out to everyone in the organization and say, hey, take a look at this. We're going to go live next week and we want to get it, edited beforehand, etc. for the draft, and we'll just leave it set as restricted is fine. For the published site, it is preset to my organization. I can again restrict that down. I can make it public, or I can go ahead and remove the link altogether. So if you do the removing the link, it restricts it to only the specific people that you want it to. So if let's say I'm doing it for a class, we're doing a class project and we all want to be able to see it as we're making changes to it, but I don't want everyone else to see it. I only want my class to see it. So then I can do it with just those individual people. I would come in here and I would add their names one by one, so that those individual people, so I would come up here where it says share with people in groups, add each student in my class so that they have access to it, but no one else. So it is published to those people and those people only. So that's the restricted viewing. Public means it is completely live. Anyone on the internet can find it. Once people start interacting with it, it will become searchable through Google's web crawler and anybody will be able to see it. So that is how the publishing works. It's pretty basic and it's in line with what the other Google products do. So if you're familiar with sharing a document in Google Docs, this works the same. Really, the only difference is we have the draft version or the public version, and we can restrict it to individual people, which I guess you can in Docs as well. But for this, it's because you're thinking of it as a website, you can publish a website to only individual people. So there is that. And what that does, I should explain, if I published it and shared it with only someone that is attending today or just all of you, then when you go, you would have to log in with the Google site that I have added with the email that I have used here. It's going to make you log in before you're able to see that site. You have to prove that you're you in order to access it. So I'm going to go ahead and hit done. And actually, I want to cancel this because I don't want to publish this at the moment. I'm not interested in publishing this right now. Okay, so here we are at 4:50, so we have 10 minutes left. I'm going to quickly jet back over here to the Zoom meeting. Hi, team. Oh, look, there's some questions in there. I want to hit those quickly to make sure I have time to cover all of those in the Q&A. If you post a YouTube link or a Facebook post, would that be a problem of rights use? That is a great question. And the answer is yes, absolutely, unless it's yours to publish. So if someone puts a video up there and you think, cool video, but it's theirs, you have to either make sure that it is open access, something that they are willing to share, contact them and ask them if it's something that they're willing to share, or else no, your using it would be the same as, well, copyright violation. You know, it's not yours. So in this case, what I was talking about, the demo that I published the links to this recording, I'm creating this, I own this content. So my publishing it on my site is completely fine. You publishing it on your site, this particular presentation, not necessarily a good idea, except for the fact that we at Metronet believe in open access. So we actually allow all of our information to be shared through the Creative Commons. So we have Creative Commons licensing for our entire website and all of the information published therein. So you could use our stuff, but not necessarily other people's information. Mark is asking, is there a way to index the content of the website so it makes it easier to find the site in the Google search for public? That is a great question, Mark. And I'm going to tell you right up front, I don't actually know the answer to that. That has to do with more how Google finds their information. And that is all the behind the scenes stuff, which is not my area of expertise. I'm guessing with an internet search, we could probably find that information, how to make yourself more searchable. I'm sure that information exists out there. Actually, if you were to search, how do I make my Google site more searchable? You'd probably find that. Unfortunately, that is not information I know off the top of my head, and I do not want to try to lead you astray by guessing. So I'm just going to say at the moment, I do not know the answer to that, but we'll see what we can find out. Okay. In the chat, do Google sites come up on top or close to the top in searches? And Heidi, I'm going to refer you back to the question that I just said to Mark. Again, I don't know the answer to that. I don't think in general that they come up necessarily really to the top, because I think a lot of that is ad-based and traffic-based. So I don't think they do, but it's certainly, if they were heavily used enough, they could. But I think knowing the website or finding a link to it someplace else, or at least knowing the name of the site, would help you get to the site faster through a Google search. So if you were looking for Learnabout demo, that might be easier to find, or just Learnabout. Knowing that I called it that might make it easier to find. Sophia, I talked about the calendar and the map. Can you password protect the site to ensure, say, only staff can see it? And I did cover that when I was talking about publishing. So hopefully that was clear to you, Sophia. If there are any other questions, that appears to be everything in chat or Q&A, now would be the time. We do have just a few minutes left. I'm going to jump back over here to the presentation just to close out a couple of things. So we covered these. So we have the link to the slide deck on the next page. I mentioned this earlier, September 19th, and this is the date that I have reserved for this. I am still looking for a final confirmation on this. I'm actually using a guest lecturer for this Learnabout. Canva is not my area of expertise. I don't really know that much about it, but I've had requests from people from previous Learnabouts that have said, hey, I want to know more about Canva. And so I said, great, let's do it. And I looked into it, and Canva is awesome, and it does so many things. And I thought I could learn this in time to do it. But then I came across a librarian who works in Minnesota who actually already is an expert. And I thought, you know what, let's have her do it, because she already knows this stuff. On that same token, if you have something, if there's a tool that you want to learn, more in-depth information, if you watched, say, my Google Drive presentation, you want to know more deeper, or just any tool out there that you're interested in, please let me know. Please reach out to me, because I am more than happy to make that happen for you. I can go ahead and come up with topics to create these Learnabouts from now until the end of time, but that doesn't matter if they're not useful to you. So let me know what it is that you want to learn, and I will happily do that. I showed you earlier the events and programs page of Metronet, where you can register for our events. If you have missed one of our Learnabouts, I also showed you where you can view the past recordings, but that link is live right here in the slide deck if you have access to that, which you do. I'll take one more swing through the question area, but before I go, there is my email address, olivia@metronet.lib.mn.us. Feel free to email me follow-up questions or suggestions of something you'd like to learn. and one more time, the link to this slide deck. That concludes the slide presentation. Jumping back over here in our last 5 minutes. Got a couple things in the Q&A, excellent. Eventually, you are leaving the organization. How could you migrate your Google site to your other Google ID if you are allowed to do so and the intellectual work is not going? Okay, so presuming that the content you've created is yours and not your organization's, and that will be entirely up to what your policy is with your organization on content creation, you can migrate it to another site through the ownership rights, which, see if I can show you that really quick. So that's for viewing. It doesn't show ownership. Oh, it does show the ownership there. So right now, this is my Google site. So I could do, say, this is my boss. And I could add her as an editor and hit send. So now we're both listed on it. And then it should give me the ability to transfer the ownership to her. Did you see how I did that? It was anonymous who asked that. But so if it's you and you have your own Google account versus your organizational account or whatever way you're going, you could add yourself, your other account as another editor and then transfer the ownership to that account so that they would own it and it would go with that account. So hopefully that was clear. All right, Q&A. Yes, thanks. Oh, good, I'm glad. And Mark wants to know, what is Canva for? So Canva is, it's a way of creating like logos, banners, headers, things like that, that you can add to websites. It's really, really useful. I can show you a really quick example because we have a couple of minutes left. So I'm going to show you the 23 Things project. This is something that MetroNet has created in conjunction with several other library organizations. If you're not familiar with this, if you're not a Minnesota librarian and you're not familiar with the Level Up project, come take a look at this, levelupmn.org. It's a lot of how do we make our professional development better? That's where the idea began. And then from there, we created the Media Landscapes campaign. So if that's something that you're working in, like what is the state of media literacy today is what the question we were asking. Sophia says Level Up is awesome. Thank you, Sophia. And then through that, we created the 23 Things project, which is 23 items of information that have to do with media literacy. And you can find that here. The things are created. You can click on each one. You can walk through them as a self-paced learning program, but you can get credit for them. We will issue CEUs if that is the kind of thing that helps you. You can do that. But the program is something that we created. So I'm going to click on logical fallacies. I actually wrote this one, so I feel comfortable sharing it with all of you here. And you'll notice we have this lovely little Media Landscapes number 9 for Think 9. That was created by one of our librarians in Canva. I don't know how to do that. She knew how to do that. And so we have one of those on each one of the individual things. So it creates a cohesiveness, but they have their own little thumbnail images. And that was done at Canva. Those are the kinds of things that you can do in Canva. And it does so much more that I have no idea about, which is why I asked a professional to come in and teach it to all of you. But I really think it can be useful. And I think I've covered them all in the Q&A. And it looks like I've got everything in the chat as well. And it is 4:59, which means I got in just under the wire. So I will say thank you so much for your attendance today. I hope you learned something. I hope you found it useful. Please reach out to me if you have any follow-up questions, or again, if you have a suggestion for something I can do. I am looking at creating the fall lineup and I would love to make it something that you will use. Please come back. Please tell your friends. I really appreciate it. Have a great day, everybody. Go outside. It's nice out. At least in Minnesota, it's really nice out.